What's up, cats? New Conor here. I'm still new. And I am currently on the road. And I have been on tons and tons of road trips. Road trips are incredible. Living and working in Yellowstone National Park. Just going on mini road trips every other day. Many of these trips have been solo. And over the years, I've had a lot of people ask me what it's like to road trip, especially alone. Because, I have friends in Micronesia who have never gone on a road trip because the islands they live on are so small, they physically can't road trip. But today, we are heading from Aspen, Colorado to Sarasota, Florida. Let's see what it is like to go on a random-ass road trip in America. I've never been on this route before. And I don't have a ton of time to go out of my way to some cool spots. So hopefully we'll come across some stuff along the way. Maybe even see some cool abandoned places because, I love those abandoned places. Speaking of abandoned places, it's kind of hard to tell. But I'm driving past Independence Ghost Town. I would stop and stay longer during daylight, but I'm kind of on a tight schedule. But to kind of show you, you can see some of the old mining town homes. As you can see, I'm out here in the mountains. I don't think I've been on this road this time of year when it's still pretty snowy. We're driving my cousin's car back to Florida. First actual stop, Alabama. 24-hour drive from Aspen. So, let's get to it. You want to be careful on these roads. Because we just got some elk right here. Especially at this time. What's up, homies? Don't mind me. Just stay out of the road. Thanks, guys. This is one of my favorite things about road trips is coming through little small town main streets like this. So adorable. We love it. But speaking of road trips, I, of course, living in Yellowstone, you're basically going on mini road trips every other day. It's super dope because you basically just get thrown into this group of strangers, mostly like-minded strangers, and you end up in these long car rides together, and you just get to know people really quick, and get close with them and see some really super dope stuff. you know, you have road trips, like I said, about time restraints, like moving from state to state, cross country, stuff like that. Usually that involves a packed car and just trying to get from A to B as quick as possible. You have other road trips, like state road trips, where you're just trying to see cool stuff throughout the state, or pre-planned routes. Like my homie Norman motherfucking Hall. He was one of my homies from Yellowstone, and he was like, you know what, dude, like after Yellowstone, like you wanna go on a road trip? So we did a month-long road trip. We went up north through Canada, all the way down the west coast, sleeping in his 1999 Toyota Camry with 420,000 miles on it. It was incredible. And on that journey, like, we really saw some like random stuff. I remember stopping in this one small tiny town in the middle of nowhere, Canada, and we just stopped at like a gas station to like get some food and use the bathroom. And this guy walks up to us. He's got a camera. He's like, hey, like, you guys don't look like you're from around here. We're like, oh no, like we're just like passing through on a road trip. He's like, hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I work for the local newspaper. And we're like, oh, sure. So he did a whole little article about us, and he was like, well, this is gonna be in the paper next week if you guys are interested. And we're like, we'll be long gone. He's like, well, you can find it at whatever site, but I don't think we wrote it down. So somewhere in the archives of this tiny town that I don't remember the name of in Canada, you'll find an article and a photo of me and Norman outside this random grocery store. But it's these long drives, especially through states like this, when you're solo. It's way easier if I don't have like time restraints, because obviously you can just stop, enjoy, rest. You don't push your limits. But there's been times where I'm like you know, hugging the wheel, trying to stay awake, like wide-eyed, hair straight up. I'm powering through right now. During the day I can drive. Once it gets dark, that's when it gets tough, but I'm pretty determined, and I got a lot to see. We're gonna stop in Alabama and explore a bunch of stuff all throughout Florida on my way back home, and I hope it is enjoyable. So check back in. Yeah, usually a road trip doesn't consist of non-stop driving for 24 hours, but I'm a bit of a poor planner at times. Or maybe not poor planner, I just push my limits. But once we get to Alabama, the drives will be a lot shorter. So we just gotta power through. The craziest part about going on solo road trips, for me at least, is when you encounter weather. Like, I've been on trips through dust storms, you know, driving through the desert. The worst is blizzards. I once went through a blizzard through Utah, and it was in my van, and the wind just blowing my van side to side was absolutely terrifying. But this trip, I am driving my cousin's car from Colorado to Florida, and I didn't give myself a ton of time. With road trips, you often have like you have like different types of road trips. You have like road trips where you're like moving, you're on kind of like a time crunch to get from one place to another place. That can kind of suck, especially alone, because you just gotta fucking power through these drives and hopefully not get too tired. But this one's kind of like a mixture of stopping at a bunch of cool spots, but also like powering through, because I only gave myself so much time because I want to get back to work and make some money. But the biggest drive is 24 hours from Aspen to Evergreen, Alabama. I'm hoping to just kind of like see some stuff along the way. But you know, when you're on these highways, you usually don't encounter, you know, anything too exciting. Just because it just like blasts through these like giant open areas. I have already, I think I'm like 7 hours into this drive. There's a cool abandoned building right here that's just falling apart. That's kind of cool. But, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I haven't seen too much. I haven't done this route. I really haven't driven through this area of America. And I have 24 hours. I need to get to Alabama by tomorrow because I have plans with one of the homies from Yellowstone, Norman motherfucking Hall. So, Godspeed. Hopefully I can just bust out a majority of the drive today. I started at 4 a.m. in Aspen, and I'm hoping to just like power through all day and then finish the drive early tomorrow morning. And like I said, hopefully be able to see some cool stuff along the way. It was dope driving through the mountains, leaving Colorado. That's always dope. But now I'm in New Mexico, I believe. And as you can tell, it is just empty, flat farmland. And there ain't shit going on. But when you're on solo road trips, it's a great time to call people if you have cell service, catch up with all the homies, and of course, listen to podcasts. I'm going to attempt to beat my record for my longest drive. I think my longest drive was 16 hours nonstop from Denver to Cincinnati. I got hooked on a killer podcast recommended by my homie Max. It's an NPR podcast called S-Town. And oddly enough, it's about a small town in Alabama as well. And it was just like a crazy story. It was super long. And I was just like super energized, just like ready to listen to it. So that helps. Otherwise, I like the second the sun goes down, I get super fucking sleepy. And driving sleepy is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than driving drunk. But I always am cautious. If I start to get tired, I just immediately find a place to pull over and take a nap. So yeah, we're going to see if we can power through this. We are about 11 hours into this drive. It's starting to hit me now. I'm somewhere in Texas, I think. Damn, I'm tired. Let's see if I can keep trucking. I might have to stop and take a nap. And we'll see how long I can go. Stopped in Texas at a rest stop for about 30 minutes. It's about 6 o'clock. Let's see if I can bust out 6 more hours of fucking driving. This goes out to all the homies in Micronesia and England, for that matter. How long does it take to drive across England? 6 hours? I just went through like 3 states in a matter of 20 hours. That's insane. Drove like 18 hours yesterday. I lost a couple hours because time zone. So that sucked. We just slept in the car a bit. I'm somewhere in Texas. Driving through Dallas sucks. That took forever, and it was just a web of highways. And they're like 6-lane highways. They're like 75 miles an hour. And it was like 9 o'clock, and there's so many cars. And they're just like weaving. Oh man, dude, that was not fun to drive. I said it before, let's see how long we can go it. Let's just keep going. Oh. We're over 20 hours into this drive. This drive has been more than 24 hours. Sunrise was gorgeous. As you can see, just the last little bit of it. Cornfield, look at that. That's a cornfield. Oh man. Just gotta get out and stretch the legs. I wanted to catch more of the sunrise. I was about to throw up my drone, but kind of missed it. Couldn't really find an exit to pull off, but that's okay. I was calling all the Thai homies. Shouts out Noi Nay for staying on the phone with me for like 2 hours because I was losing my mind a little bit. It's the home stretch. Can I make it in time though? I still have like 5 more hours to go. How? I don't know. I have no idea. This 24-hour drive turned into about a 30-hour drive. We are nearing the end. We're out here in Alabama. As you can see, we're out in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, on a red dirt road. And we're gonna meet up with my dear friend Norman motherfucking Hall. I just drove, shut your mouth. I just drove 30 hours nonstop to a dying town called Evergreen, Alabama.
And it did.
It did.
It did.
What the hell am I doing here? Super dope campground with all those beautifully spaced trees. Oh, we love that. Oh yeah, feels pretty good. I'm continuing this little road trip and checking out one of Florida's best places to dive. One of the more underrated attractions, Vortex Springs. Dude, the springs are so dope. I mean, you can tell the water's just crystal clear. They just have like water slides all along this joint. Look at that water. They even got a diving board. I really don't know what this place is all about, but there's a big area. I think it goes down like 150, 200 feet into an expansive cave system too that you can go scuba diving in. But we're gonna walk around, we're gonna check it out. Another stop on the road trip, Florida Cavern State Park. It was totally worth the stop. I was a little worried that it was just gonna be this, you know, short little, not really worth it, but the cavern was dope. The trails were surprisingly cooler than I thought they were gonna be, but it is Florida, of course, so it is hot. So let's continue this little road trip down through Florida. So Adams County Stowe. Self-service ice. That's a southern thing apparently, is just like random ice machines. Norman told me when I was in Evergreen, you'll see that a lot in the south. because people just keep a cooler in their truck beds full of alcohol. So you gotta have these random ice machines all over the place to keep it cold. Just look at that gorgeous house. What? Oh, I think this is the old like town hotel. I'll have to stop and look at this real quick. This whole street is fucking adorable. I wish I had my setup for camping. Usually I just have a nice little to-go bag full of like my camping gear and just like having a cooler and stuff. This was like a weird spontaneous-ish road trip. Just a different setup than most of my road trips where I go out with the intent of camping and hiking, when this one is to move a car from one place to the other, adding stops along the way. Anyways, slept in this joint last night somewhere in Florida because I didn't feel like getting a hotel, because that's not what road trips are about. Anyways, we're headed to the next destination. We're gonna see some more springs today and maybe some friends, and then call it an end to the trip. I'm at a spring that's a little bit different because, well, one, you can't swim at it. And I don't know a ton about it, but all I know is that it's supposed to be a very photogenic springs. It's supposed to be like one of the prettiest springs in all of Florida. So, what I'm gonna do? Oh, my camera was on. It's okay. We got some juice. We got enough juice. I'll be able to take photos. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take some photos. There you have it. Over 2,000 miles from Aspen, Colorado to Sarasota, Florida in about 4 days by myself. I didn't have a ton of time for this road trip and I lost my mind a little bit, but it was well worth it in my opinion. If you want to see more details about all the sites that I visited on this road trip, make sure to subscribe because I will be dropping individual videos for all of them in the upcoming weeks. If you want to see some adventures from my weekend solo road trips when I was in Colorado, check out this video. But other than that, if you want to support me, buy me a coffee. Check out the link in the description. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.